killing me. Not you guys, the other two. Today is a sad day, ladies and gentlemen. It is a sad, sad day, for we are saying goodbye to someone. We are saying, not like permanently, they're not dead. Well, I don't think he is. Anyway, but before we get to the tinge of sadness, southerly, winter has arrived. Those playing along at home, what's been updated on that bike? Training spec today, guys. So I'm back training, back on the bike, and look, I'll talk specifically about my own training in a little bit, but I kind of stay away a lot from handing out training advice just because, well, I'm not a coach. I know that doesn't stop a lot of people on social media from handing out advice, but luckily I do know a few guys who are professional coaches, and I thought we might just chat briefly about some kind of training and what's going on, because I noticed recently there's a lot of stuff happening online. There's a lot of chat specifically about kind of interval stuff, all that kind of thing. Wait! Right, let's have a chat, shall we?
Oh, you did go time trial button. Just going out and doing a smattering of your favourite interval sessions for an undefined period of time is not particularly useful, and if anything can end up bringing up more questions than you sort of started with. So people go out and they start doing just random interval sessions and they end up on forums and asking people questions, and it becomes a mess. So I think
people doing interval training, which is, we'll call that kind of just picking and choosing like bits and pieces to do every now and again. Then you would have like structured training, which is
pretty much
where like
it could incorporate interval training, but it has a longer term goal, and the sessions are geared towards that, as opposed to just picking random sessions. And a lot of them are based towards indoor training. So like a lot of indoor training, the structured plans, are quite popular for people that do a lot of indoor training, which I find can be quite good for people. If you're someone who does predominantly your training indoors, maybe rides outdoors on the weekend, I think some of those plans can be quite good. But then there's the other issue where if you're on a training plan, a structured plan from an indoor training service, something like Trainer Road, it gets hard to mix in your outdoor rides because the interval sessions you do indoors and outdoors should be different. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to go ride outdoors today, so I'll do the same session that I was planning on doing on the trainer.
I see what you're saying.
In my opinion, you should really have different sessions for where you're riding. They tend to oversimplify things. Things like doing an FTP test or your CTL or your fatigue and your fitness and all those sort of metrics. They're trying to really simplify to make things simple for people, but in the process end up creating a lot of questions for people, which is sort of where a coach comes in. It's just more individualized.
Coach would be like the next step along, right?
So coach is incorporating a structured plan, but it's just completely individualized. So if you do have a coach, make sure you're talking to them and giving feedback to them and having an open discussion with them pretty regularly. That way you're going to get the most out of it. If you're sort of being very quiet and they sort of just give you the plan, for some of those people they may as well just go on Trainer Road and get an individual plan, Actual real life clouds in Sydney.
I know, it's been a while. Look, big thanks to JC for answering some of that stuff for me. Look, guys, it's not that I don't want to answer training questions. It's just genuinely I just don't feel qualified to do it. And also, like, I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of money on these sort of in-betweener kind of things. So you just... And I think he gets frustrated with that sort of stuff as well because he sees people at the other end of it. So it's like, just be careful about what your goals are, what your time commitments are, and make your decisions accordingly. Right, it's about to rain. Let's go. Okay, we're about to head off to say goodbye to the main man, which gives me like 5 minutes to talk about stage 19 and talk about Froomie. Let's go. There's two different ways to really look at this. The first, and one leads into the other, but the first is like, he should not be racing. It is frigging embarrassing to our sport that someone who is under this cloud is allowed to compete in the biggest races going on. And like, it's funny, like I look at it from the perspective of our racing, right? So if I get a fine for wearing a friggin' helmet cover, I can't race like that next weekend until I pay that. So it's like, oh, okay, amateur dudes, like, you're just under the thumb for everything. But if you're a pro, well, we'll just kind of stuff around for like a year and you can keep racing and make millions of dollars, and then we may come to a conclusion. And a lot of people have kind of broken down his ride since and really shown that a lot of the advantage that he made was on the descent, which was pretty cool. But I kind of thought what might have been interesting, and it's not as like everything I talk about comes back to bike cameras and power data, but I think here is where that kind of stuff could have been useful, because if we as viewers and fans could have had some view into, okay, let's have, and I know they flashed this up briefly, but Jesus Christ, they flashed it up so briefly. You know, if you could have a comparison of, oh, what's Dumoulin doing at this moment? What's his heart rate? What's his power? Same with Froomie. You could see that kind of happening real time. And also, if you had some insight into the team cars, like, it's funny, like when you watch our team videos, a lot of the stuff that you guys really like is that communication which is going on with the team car and that sort of stuff. If you as viewers are starting to get that little bit of insight behind the scenes as it's taking place, I reckon that would take away a lot of the kind of mystery and murkiness that surrounds a lot of this stuff that's unfolding in front of you. You know, I have seriously avoided talking about whether I think pro cyclists are taking drugs, and I've avoided it for a lot of reasons. The main one is, well, perfect example, last week I'm at an event and I'm asked by the father of an up-and-coming rider whose goal is to become a professional cyclist, and he just asked me directly, like, Chris, do you think my son is wasting his time because eventually are they all just going to have to take drugs? Look, I will say this, I am particularly cynical about just professional sport in general. I think, like, you just have to look at, like, the cricketers in the last months that, dodgy grey area stuff just happens when it comes to professional sport, when you've got gambling, when you've got all that kind of stuff involved. So for me to just break it down is very, very simple and possibly pointless. I will kind of say that I'm very much of the belief that the systematic team-based doping stuff doesn't exist. That said, I do believe in any sport, professional sport, on any given day, at any given time, there is someone who has pushed the boundaries and is probably in some way done some form of performance-enhancing drug. Do I think if you're talented, committed, got the wherewithal to make it, you can make it as a professional cyclist clean nowadays? Yes. And that is my answer generally to people like that, and it's my answer like about this now. So as I said, tonight's a sad night. We're saying goodbye to someone. Oh, we're gonna go. So where are we headed, troops?
No.
Oh. Are we not going to see Bo? We better eat the pizzas quickly. Landland's here. So the main reason we're here tonight is to say goodbye to Bo and all that kind of crap. But also he's making pizzas for us. So the girl's going to help us out.
White flour with what's that rising egg? Yeast. Got chicken, avocado, pineapple, and mushrooms. Controversial the mushroom, but I think mushroom goes in there.
Dan's here now. I don't know what that means. He's in there complaining about something.
He wasn't invited, but he heard about it.
Yeah, he wasn't invited, but he heard about the pizzas. You need to think about your highs and lows of your time. I won't sort of force you to answer now.
Well, I definitely got my low.
I was expecting you to say the opposite.
And that was going to Amy's getting a last minute call up last year and going to, because of Toby, thanks Toby, going like unprepared to Amy's Grand Fondo and getting dropped in the first 2 kilometers of the race. The only saving grace was the drive home with Dan.
Have we got any footage of you getting dropped after? We might somewhere.
I think we did. Or maybe it might have been too early that we didn't even have the camera yet.
All right. Catherine, do you want to try some pizza?
Let's go.
That was awesome.